Maggie and Caitlin did this thing where they started a podcast. It's called How to Say Hi. How many of you feel like you don't know how to say hi anymore? So we thought that this was pretty relevant for the now, and they are going to lead us on an activity because we are going to be here now with them. I just want to actually tell you to check out this awesome podcast. It's a podcast that hopes to inspire the world to recognize the joy and benefits of making small connections. Through personal tales and research, they discuss silly societal norms, offer advice for navigating social situations, and encourage listeners to look for opportunities to say hi. So please welcome Caitlin and Maggie to the stage.
Thanks, everybody. You know, it's so interesting listening to the first half of this event and how closely tied authenticity is to being present and being in the now. And I think that's really cool. Also, thank you to the tech team for allowing Maggie to be here. This is amazing. She unfortunately tested positive for COVID at the beginning of this week. Super bummer. She's doing okay, but she's still within that quarantine period. It's also why I've been keeping my distance and staying masked today as well. As much as I want to just talk to every single one of you and jump into these conversations and embrace the present, right now, our now is weird, and we adjust and adapt to that as we go. So without further ado, welcome Maggie to the big screen.
Hi everyone, I'm Maggie. Thanks so much for being flexible and welcoming during this time, even virtually. I am thrilled to be here with you all now. Before Caitlin and I started this podcast, I often kept interactions with strangers to a minimum. It was a lot of stress for me. I didn't know what to say. What if I said something silly? I just figured, even though I wasn't rude, I figured I would just avoid it as much as possible. But then I saw an article that said social interactions actually help us live longer. In fact, researchers found that having a diverse social network that includes both your close personal relationships as well as loose acquaintances, that boosts survival by 50%. Studies link these ties to lower blood pressure, improved immune system, and a greater sense of happiness. It was overwhelming at first, but I knew I wanted to do something with all this knowledge. I wanted to form some new social habits. So I turned to my very outgoing friend Caitlin, and we decided to start with the basics, which is how to say hi.
So How to Say Hi became not only our podcast, but also our passion project. We also got a little addicted to it. Once you start, it gives you so many feel-goods that you almost can't stop. It's about creating a community that feels more interconnected and thoughtful. A community that's just filled with understanding and kindness. And we work to present ideas to burst these unnecessary social bubbles that just simply don't need to exist. We started finding opportunities wherever we went, to the grocery store, or running to the coffee shop. And we just kept wanting to say hi and make these small connections. And when we did, we always left feeling better, like there's a little pep in our step. So we started thinking about it. What is the magic ingredient here? If this is so easy and feels so good, why aren't we all doing it? Well, it's because we're all lost in our heads. We have so many distractions in our daily lives. Our eyes are down to our phone. There's a lot going on in the world that we just start going through our to-do lists and we don't pause to be in that moment and to experience the now. It's also about stepping outside of your noisy head and kind of silencing those profound perceptions of where you fit in amongst those around you. It's about bracing your authenticity with all of its weirdness and its awkwardness, because that's what makes it beautiful and that's what makes it uniquely yours. Being in the now, it also helps you reveal opportunities to connect. It's like you just start noticing more. You might notice the person behind the counter who's getting through that last hour of their shift and just feeling like they could use a little pick-me-up. And you could be the person to provide that and put a smile on their face, and in return, feel really good as you leave that store. Or you might be at a networking or social event like this and see somebody who maybe is here for the first time and feeling a little bit out of place and unsure on how to connect. Maybe they just need someone to chat with for a minute. Because you're present, because you're noticing, you could be that person. The other thing that being present helps with is recognizing the energy that you're sharing with the room and how that energy can impact other people. If we all come with this atmosphere of just kindness and excitement and enthusiasm, you can really change the whole scene around you, and that's super powerful. Okay, so this sounds all great and easy. I'm here in the now. How do I make this happen? Well, if you've listened to our podcast before, we really love to give easy to implement takeaways in every episode, because it's one thing to say, okay, I'll be more present, and it's another thing to actually act on it and add it and make it a part of your daily life. And that's what we want, is to be able to have saying hi as part of your usual lifestyle. So we're going to present you with a challenge today that will help you enhance your connections right here and right now. But before we get into that, I have a quick anecdote. I was recently a +1 at a dinner party, and it was that usual thing where you walk in, you don't really know anybody, and you have those questions floating around the room, those usual questions like, what do you do? How was your day? Nice weather, huh? But the thing about usual questions is that generally they come with usual answers. It's almost like a script or like auto response. We're hearing white noise, but we're not putting a lot of thought or intention into those questions and answers. So I decided to try to shake things up. And I walk up into the group and I say, all right, what's like the weirdest thing someone saw today? It was a little out of the norm, of course, a little bit awkward, but it was my authentic self, and I was dang curious what the weirdest thing these people saw today was. So one of the guests immediately pops up and not only begins to tell, but acts out a story from her afternoon across the kitchen. She's doing all these moves, she's getting super animated, and immediately, it was like we all were able to like shake off that awkwardness and the chilliness of the room and just be there and hear her story and laugh. And it was absolutely incredible to watch her. It was so animated. But it was also absolutely authentic. She really gave a piece of herself and kind of put away some of that cloak and became more vulnerable. And because she gave a piece of herself, we all were able to do the same. And so because of her one story, we cycled into about 3 other stories. There was no longer me in this room filled with strangers trying to think about what the heck we're going to talk about to get through this meal. But instead, it was a group of people sharing perspectives and sharing stories, and also a delicious meal, which is a huge plus for me if you know me. So with that story in mind, I'm going to hand things off to Maggie to talk about the challenge we present to you today.
That's right, it's your turn now. So today we challenge you to embrace the now and strike up a conversation, but go off script. Take the next 8 minutes or so, find someone in the room that you don't know all that well, and ask them something new. If you're feeling a little panicky, it's okay. There are some cheat sheets with ideas around the room in here and in the lobby, and you can use those for ideas. And if you do get kind of stuck and you fall back on those usual questions, remember to shake up the answer instead. Connect it to a story or an anecdote and give the other person something to work with. So again, take about 8 minutes, go off script, chat with someone new, and we'll be back here in a few minutes.
I have some sheets up here if you're looking. It's not weird to use these. This is something new. You're not supposed to just know how to ask a weird question. So please feel free to grab these if you'd like. Otherwise, stand up, talk to somebody, and ask what the weirdest thing they saw today was or something else. You got this. Okay, real quickly, I'm dying to know how this went for everybody. So who, by the show of hands, was feeling a little bit like sweaty palmed or nervous at the start of this challenge? Anybody feeling a little awkward? Yeah. Okay, so if you look around, sorry, hands up one more time. Don't be shy about it. Everyone feels a little bit awkward with things like this. It doesn't matter if you have a podcast about saying hi. I would have also been feeling a little awkward. So know that, and it's okay. You're among friends and among company. This is really appealing to Maggie's research brain. I got one more question for you. I'm wondering who, once you started and got into it a little bit, it was actually a little bit easier than you expected it to be? Hands? Yeah. Oh, okay. You see that, Maggie? Very cool. I love it. Yeah, it just goes to show that it is a little awkward at first, and you do feel a little bit vulnerable. But I guarantee, so did that person at that dinner party I was at who just started acting out a scene across the kitchen. So it was absolutely fantastic. I have one more quick one for you. I'm wondering if anybody will share something that happened unexpectedly in this connection. Maybe you met someone you didn't expect to meet, or you heard a really funny story. Would anyone like to share one quick little synopsis story? Yes, please. You can.
Hi, I'm Mary, and so I was talking to Jennifer Tompkins. I don't know where she went. Oh, there she is. And so she was telling us about, she went with a friend of hers who's really into the arts and culture in town, and the person took her to the ballet this week. And so the question was, what was something great about this week? And so she talked about, it was a very intimate, small, in the studio. It wasn't the big performance. It wasn't an orchestra. And it was just an amazing experience because she'd never been to the ballet except for the Nutcracker. And she didn't know what to expect, but it was very moving and intimate and engaging, and she loved it.
That's absolutely so cool. So by sharing a little bit more, or a more unique story than, so how was your day, or what do you do, you've kind of like made a quicker connection with that person, because now you know a little bit more about them in a little bit more of an intimate way. That's super cool. Thank you for sharing. All right, I know we have to wrap things up here quickly. Maggie has one other quick takeaway, which, like we said, we love the easy to implement takeaways, and she's got one for you, so I'm going to hand it off to her.
Yeah, thanks. We did this not just because we're curious and wanted to hear about your experience, but because we encourage reflecting on your experience each time you try this out. If you ever wanted to build a new habit, you may be familiar with this. Right after a new habit or activity, you jot down or say out loud what happened, what it felt like, what you might do differently next time. And that technique will help you build confidence and remember the joy and fun that came from reaching out a little bit and trying something new. If you are looking for more tips and challenges like this, of course, find our podcast, How to Say Hi. Each episode is about 20 minutes or less, so a good commute or a walk around the park or something. We are currently working on season 2, so make sure that you subscribe so you see that when it happens. In season 2, we're actually exploring some more complex social scenarios, like saying hi to people with disabilities or those who speak a different language, and addressing subjects like using a person's preferred pronouns. It's all about understanding different perspectives and recognizing that sometimes we're not going to get it right, but we're trying, we're doing our best, we're building some bridges. And my last ask for you all is if any of you have experience or stories or expertise in these areas, we're still looking to fill some spots on our episodes, so you can reach out to us by email, howtosayhipod@gmail.com, and of course find us on social media. One last time, thank you all so much for having us and for being flexible so I can be there with you now. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Maggie and Caitlin. As you leave today, please make sure that we get your puzzle pieces. Lauren has a box over here. And thank you all so much for being here now with us. My wish for you today is that I hope you take a few minutes to be here now, perfectly imperfect, perfect, just as you are. If you would like to join us, we would like to take a picture by those lovely alpha-lit letters, CMRVA. And so we are inviting you to come and be part of our now picture as you exit the auditorium. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here now.
10 puzzle pieces.
We know why we said we're